Welcome to the Smart Business Show. Blah. Welcome to the Smart Business Show, episode 99. That was a better second try. Today we're going to interview Mojca Marsh, is how you'd say it, or my fairly close North American pronunciation of her name, because you spell it Mojca Mars. It's got a little, what I'd call a squiggly accent thing, so it's in Marsh. From superspicymedia.com, and she's going to talk to us about what type of marketing, specifically social media marketing, works for freelancers. It's a great episode. I had a great time. Lots to talk about how we tie in Facebook ads into our services eventually, because it's not just put up a Facebook ad and come give me, say $20,000 to build a site. It's we'll let her talk about it. So enjoy the show. Welcome, Mojca Marsh. We were better that time? Close? Okay, good. That's who we're talking to today, and she's going to talk about marketing. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, what you do?
So I am a social media consultant, and I specialize in Facebook advertising. So I help businesses grow with the help of Facebook ads. And I actually started doing this after losing my job. I was a copywriter at an advertising agency, but that advertising agency was pretty small. So I was actually doing everything from copywriting to design a little bit, just everything. But they actually fired me after we just didn't get along very well, because I wanted to do more digital things like Facebook ads and Twitter, and I wanted to work with Facebook ads. I wanted to work with clients on getting their Facebook ads up and their Facebook page, but they just didn't buy that. So that's how I started Super Spicy Media, and it has been growing ever since, and I'm very, very satisfied with it.
Awesome. I did a 3-month stint as a developer for someone else, and at the end of 3 months, I called them and I said, I can't imagine I'm a good employee, and I don't like working here, so why don't we just not work together? And they said, hey, sounds good. So we parted with respect, which was good, because I didn't like it, and they didn't really like me, which I can't imagine they did.
Yeah, I lasted for a year and a half, which was, I think, also a record for me. But at the end of it, I was like, I never want to work for anyone anymore. This is just so draining. And I started my own agency and never wanted to work for anyone anymore.
Yeah.
The end.
I had done 2 years on my own and was frustrated with clients at the time, and then realized I'd rather be frustrated with clients than frustrated with someone else being my boss.
There you go. Same with me.
So we'll talk a little bit more about Facebook specifically after, because I have another question now. But what type of marketing should be works for freelancers as opposed to, say, like a larger agency?
So I really love social media. I think that social media made a big difference, especially in the freelancers space, because you can get closer to your target audience. You can talk one-on-one with the buyer, whether that is Twitter or Facebook ads or Instagram if your target audience is on Instagram. So it doesn't really matter. But I think social media is definitely the way to go. With freelancers, I love to focus on Facebook. That is having a Facebook page and Facebook ads. And I also, if they are in the tech sphere, so if they're developers, definitely Twitter would be worthy looking at it, at just seeing what's happening on Twitter, connecting with a few influencers, chatting with them, and building your authority step by step and getting closer to your target audience and to your target buyer.
So why Facebook specifically?
I think that the number one reason is that Facebook covers just such a broad demographic, and everyone can find their target audience on Facebook, whether those are developers looking for clients or writers looking for clients, or if they have a Shopify store and they look for customers. So each and every person out there can find their target audience on Facebook, because Facebook covers just such a wide demographic. And I love Facebook. The second biggest reason is because of Facebook ads. They have such a detailed targeting, so you have tons of different targeting options that you can't find elsewhere, and that's because Facebook has connected with third-party companies that provide certain data for them. So if you know how to use that to your advantage, you are definitely 10 steps ahead of your competition. So that's why I choose Facebook over and over again, pretty much.
So when someone uses an ad on Facebook, how do you recommend they connect that back to their own services?
So a lot of freelancers and other businesses make a mistake of creating their first Facebook ad, not really knowing what to do, and they do what they think it's worth doing, and so they make their first ad very, very promotional. So they start by promoting their services to an unknown audience, and that usually doesn't go very well. First of all, because that audience doesn't really know who they are. The trust hasn't been established, and the second reason why that doesn't work is because usually those services are in the a few hundreds or thousands range. So it's not something that could be an impulse buy. So in that case, I usually suggest turning that around a little bit and starting to build trust with your audience first. So targeting your target audience with ads for your blog posts or some sort of lead magnets. And then as they get familiar with you and your business, you can retarget those people with Facebook ads and show them ads for your services or paid products that you have. So don't start with strictly promotional ads promoting your services, but start by establishing trust, growing your authority with showcasing your knowledge via blog posts or lead magnets, and then retargeting those people with promotional ads.
So for a developer that builds e-commerce sites, it might be, check out my PDF for the top 5 mistakes people make with their e-commerce site.
That's perfect, actually. And as people download that guide or PDF, you can retarget those people later on with, like I said, a productized service or a higher end service, whatever you have. But those people, it will be a much easier purchase for them because they'll already know who you are. You won't be just someone who popped into in their news feed looking for work.
So you said earlier, maybe Instagram, if that's where your target audience is. How do you figure out where your target or which social network your target audience is on?
As I said, Facebook is pretty much perfect for all businesses out there. I haven't have worked with a client, that wouldn't fit Facebook's scheme perfectly. So Facebook is, I would start with Facebook if you don't know where to turn. Then if you are more tech oriented, Twitter is definitely a channel worth looking for or looking at. As I said, because on Twitter you find those, techie people and tech influencers that you can connect with. So Twitter for tech. And as far as Instagram goes, it's definitely focused. It's definitely more suitable for kind of visual businesses. So if you're a designer, perhaps, or if you deal with fashion or food, so something that is more visual. So for example, developers, I don't think Instagram would be a very, very good fit. That said, for example, if you're building your social media and authority on social media on Facebook and Twitter as a developer, and you've been doing that for a few years, you have a decent amount of following, and you have a little bit of spare time on your hands, you can definitely use Instagram for building your personal brand. So that's where Instagram can come in kind of in place. But as a solopreneur, I would definitely just focus on one social media or 2 social media max. So Twitter and Facebook, and that's it. Because if you don't want to spread yourself too thin on 4 different social media channels, just focus on 1 or mostly 2, and that's it.
Okay. And then how do you figure out where your influencers are? You talked about that on Twitter a few times. You just stay in the industry long enough that or do you have a way that you can figure out who the influencers are?
I don't have a specific strategy. I think it's just it's common knowledge that tech influencers can be definitely found on Twitter. And tech influencers matter on Twitter, first of all, because you can connect with them, you can retweet them, you can reply, you can engage with them if possible. Sometimes they'll reply back and great things will happen. Whereas on Facebook, that doesn't really matter. Facebook doesn't have engagements like that. So influencers don't really matter on Facebook. Whereas, as I said, if you are in tech business and you want to connect with other developers or, like I said, influencers that are up on the higher end of developers, for example, definitely Twitter would be a way to go, and you can definitely make beautiful things. I mean, the engagements with those influencers will definitely help your business grow.
Awesome. So if there was one thing you could get us to do today with our social media advertising, what would that be?
First of all, open Facebook ads account. It is very simple. The process maybe takes, 5 to 10 minutes, and you have your Facebook ads account and you can start advertising. But I wouldn't maybe start advertising today. What I would do instead is with each Facebook ads account, there comes a Facebook pixel. And you can create that Facebook pixel, put it on your web page so you can retarget those visitors later on with Facebook ads. So the first step would be create a Facebook ads account. Second step, create that Facebook pixel and put it on your web page. So you're generating data, you're recording that data, and you can use that data to your own advantage by advertising to those audiences later on. And as you have that going for at least 7 days, you collect a little bit of data, use that to your advantage, and create your first retargeting campaign and your first Facebook advertising campaign, reaching your target audience and growing your business as you go.
Back in September, October, I was convinced I needed to start looking at Facebook ads, but I didn't have time, and so I dropped the Facebook pixel on immediately, and then I will start looking into it next month.
There you go. That should have happened sooner, but...
Yep, sometimes... In my case, I had a book to write and launch, so I wrote that first, knowing I did not have time to do the other stuff. So
absolutely, I know how it is. So I totally
there's always
get it.
50 things to do, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. And where can people find you?
So if your audience has any other questions, specific questions they want to ask me, they can find me at mojca@superspicymedia.com. I would be very happy if they would write to me. I also have a webpage, and that can be found at superspicymedia.com. And they can also find me on Twitter at mojca. And if they're interested in starting with Facebook advertising this week, they can find my free email course on Facebook ads at superspicymedia.com/FB-ads. It's a 5-day email course. They'll get a lot of value from there, and they'll also be able to ask me a lot of questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer that.
Awesome. And I will put her links in the show notes for all us North Americans that have no idea how you'd actually spell mojca. So it's MOJCA is how you'd spell it if you have a question.
Yep. But people won't believe that, so they'll need some notes.
I tacked them all down. I'll listen to it again after and make sure I get all those actually written down properly. Awesome.
Perfect.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.